Welcome to the Light Her Project podcast, Real Women.
Real talk.
I'm Rachel Strella.
And I'm Vixen Divine.
Woohoo! So, for anybody who's actually physically watching us, you might first notice a few things. One, I have headphones. Woo!
Woo-hoo! First time for everything. All right now.
All right. Yeah. So hopefully this cuts down any chirping noise that you might be hearing. That despite everything that we try to edit out. All right. So that's a great one. You might also notice that we have a new logo. So we're upgrading our brand a little bit, getting more sophisticated.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it.
So, how's your week going so far, Vixen?
Okay. So my week is going fantastic. Can I tell you why?
No. All right. I don't want to hear any good news. So.
I've got good news. I've got great news. Okay. So it's the little things they say, they talk about.
Yeah.
I ordered them. I'll show you probably next time we podcast. But everyone knows, I love purple, right? Love lavender, purple, that sort of thing. So one of the shopping networks, major shopping network, I forget which one. Anyway, I'm up because I'm up at midnight. I'm up at midnight and I just happen to have it on. I did unplanned. They had mugs, 40-ounce, double walled, the heat stays in for 8 hours. It stays cold for 24 hours, but purple and lavender set. I was
wow.
With the straw caps, the whole deal. I was like,
It is the small things. I swear to you, I understand. I do. Trust me. I'm excited because it is warm out for a change. It has been cold. It has been raining. The sun has been out. It's in the 70s. This is unheard of.
I know, right?
Aside from that, my week has been kind of odd. As women, we have to go and get screenings and things like that. And the dreaded, mammogram came back not so great. So I got to go get more scans. So it's just that kind of stuff where it's a never ending cycle of things that are just facts of life.
Yeah. And you know what? It's the thing. It's the waiting. It's the not knowing. That is what gets you. It's not that there's necessarily anything wrong because these things go weird all the time. But it's the little tiny percentage that maybe just a little bit that is what it will get you.
It's Google that will really get you because I'd never heard of my particular issue, and when I'm Googling it, and they did the study and there's 4 to 6 times more likely to have breast cancer.
Okay.
I thought, well, that's interesting. So, not exactly a fun way to go, but
no.
We could get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Dr. Google will get you every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on the more positive things, or maybe not, depending on our topic today. So we plan to discuss the effect of social media on our health and well-being. So to kind of get ready for this particular episode, I had us create a poll that I sent out to a bunch of women just to get kind of where they're at. Okay. So things like, how often do you compare your appearance to others on social media? Do you feel pressure to look a certain way? Things like that. The results here weren't that surprising. At the end of the day, you're getting a lot of people that are in that middle of the road thing where they're feeling this often or sometimes. Not so much always. And you do get some nevers.
Okay.
But I would say that over 50% are often or sometimes in how they compare themselves. And the same goes for the pressure that they feel to look a certain way because of what they see on social media.
Did you say that was over 50%?
Over 50 with a combination of often or sometimes.
That's actually a little disturbing.
Yeah.
That's telling me, hey, okay, ladies, we got to work on this whole self-esteem, self-positivity thing. Okay, but we'll talk more about that later.
No,
Okay.
we will. And, one of the things is, do you ever feel anxious or stressed while using social media? 58% sometimes. So it's actually a little stressful. Cyberbullying. I was actually happy to see that the experience of cyberbullying and negative comments on social media and how they impact their mental health,
Yeah.
over 52% said never.
Oh, good. That's really
There
good.
was like 37% that said rarely and like a 10% that said sometimes, but not an always or an often at all. So that's
Okay.
really good.
Yeah, that's good.
And we were split four different ways on how much, they're spending time on social media rather than engaging in physical activities.
What, you
Like,
mean they're up at midnight?
well, I mean, that's what I do. I personally, like, I fall asleep on the couch a lot and I'll wake up, don't know what time, anytime between midnight and like 3 a.m. And I can't get right back to sleep. So it's time to scroll.
Yep.
Now, I don't know what kind of physical activity am I going to be doing at 2 o'clock in the morning anyway, but I'm sure I could find other ways. And what's funny, because one of the questions is, does social media interrupt your sleep? The vast majority says never. But if they're like me, where they wake up and then they're like, I can't get back to sleep. So I don't know if that
Well,
interrupts it or not.
that could be a couple different ways because did it interrupt your sleep or while you're awake, while I'm here, well,
May as well
then you,
scroll. There was nothing here that like was super, super thing. I mean, one other thing I'll say too is one of the questions was, do you feel like social media has a positive or negative impact on your life? And 85% of people had a neutral response to that. So it was neither positive or negative.
okay, so they basically take it or leave it. It's not
Yeah.
like super great, super negative. Okay, well, okay. At least it's
Okay.
not negative.
I mean, we had an opportunity to ask some questions too, basically open answered stuff. What would you like to add about your experience? And some of the things we got was, overall it's addicting. It takes too much of my time. It's a double edged sword. It can be interesting and annoying as well. It consumes too much of my headspace. So yeah, I mean, this is what life is now
Well,
when
you
you
know
think
what
about it.
though? Here's the thing. It's unpredictable. Like
Yes.
even though you have certain people that you probably frequent in your social media, on your timeline,
Mhm.
you still don't know what's going to come next.
Right.
So you can't predict that it's all going to be positive, coming down the line because you don't know what people are writing and you don't
Right.
know what's going to come in the
Yeah.
next thing. Or so it could be bad or you could perceive it as bad. So
Yeah.
you just don't know. So it's unpredictable. So you can't
Yes.
keep it all happy and gay and woohoo.
It's not an encyclopedia. That's for sure. Well, let's talk about our personal experiences here. We're going to talk a little bit about my sleep. Um, how is this affecting us and our impact on health? And what's funny is that this podcast started because of feedback that I was getting when I posted about plastic surgery that I had in 2018. Where I had like 1 million views on the first video that I posted about it. And I think that one of the things for me, it's hard because I follow a lot of reality TV people. I love watching reality TV. It's a vice. And, I'll see these ladies from Siesta Key, and I'm like, man, I want to look like that. Or I'll see the people from Jersey Shore who've all had plastic surgery and they look amazing. But it's sometimes hard to like not compare yourself. And so for me personally, just on the physical aspect, there's not really a full way to escape that.
There isn't a full way to escape that, but I think it gets a little dicey when you really want to be that.
Right.
I saw this woman. She had had surgery, if I'm not mistaken, but she wanted to look like what Prince Harry's wife, Meghan Markle,
Oh, okay.
and she had some like when you start to change yourself to look like that person that you want to look like it's different than you could say, oh wait, look, I want the eyebrows like that she has, and you're working on, that's different. You got that picture of her brows and you're trying, like, that's different. That's just kind of like, oh, I want that. But when you get to that level, that's obsessiveness, that you're like, I have to be like, you don't want to be you anymore.
Yeah.
That's different. So I don't think it's bad to, because as women, you know, like I said, I'm the one who will go up, hey girl, where'd you get that purse? Those shoes look good on you. Oh, where'd you get that? That sort of thing. Oh, girl, you look good in that dress. I'm not afraid to say that kind of thing. So we're generally ones to talk about things like that and
Yeah.
find out and try, where'd you get that dress? I'm trying it on too. Try to be that, but we're not trying to be her.
Right. Right. Understood. So, do you have any kind of personal experiences from your perspective on how social media has impacted your health and well-being?
It drives me nuts. I'm just going to tell you, it drives, because I want it to be a certain way. And because it's not that way, it drives me nuts. Because every time I think I have it figured out, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God for your company, Strella. uh, because that really helped me for my consistency, because I felt it, to me, it's like a child who needs
Yeah.
constant attention,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
without any thankfulness.
Yes. No, working in this field, I get it. And my perspective is obviously a little different because of that. I really don't want to be on social media during the day because I have to work in it, and that's kind of a funny tidbit too. Like, there's been times where there's the assumption that I'm on social media all day. And I've had people get really mad at me because they might have posted something that they assumed that I saw. And because I didn't comment on it or I didn't reach out to them or react, they were like, man, you're a bitch. Like, you knew I had that nose surgery and you didn't even comment, or say anything to me. I was like, what nose surgery? I had no idea. There was like this assumption that I'm on there. And I was just, yeah. All
People don't
right.
understand.
Yeah, so let's talk about, one of the things that I think is interesting about social media is our best selves, is how we really want to show up. And I think that we don't want to show up as like, we've got pimples, our hair's all over the place, we're looking slabby that day. Now on TikTok, I'll say it's a little different. Like, the vibe there is a little more real, a little more like non-polished. But overall, like, even people that are celebs on TikTok or like TikTok stars, they never
Right.
look bad, even if they say that they look bad. Like, you can't tell me they didn't put a little makeup on before they did that. So I think that we try to show up a certain way on social media, um, and I think that can be what contributes to this feeling of like, man, everybody else has this perfect life, perfect look.
Well, perfect is different for everybody. But I see what you're saying as far as the expectation, almost to
Mm-hmm.
be have that more perfection side of you show up, as opposed to the gene. Girl, it's your fault that I show up like this. I told you I would show up in a jeans and t-shirt if you let me, but you don't let me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, Rachel, y'all, keeps me in check. She really does. And I know she is the business, and I'm a massage therapist. I'm all about comfort. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, is there something fluffier I can put on? And Rachel's like,
Yeah.
no, you can't. You cannot come in your onesie. And I'm like, oh man, okay. So
Oh,
it's a
boy.
matter of, and also about, that goes back also then to self-esteem, because like me, like, oh yeah, you best believe I have a purple onesie. Okay.
I have no doubt.
But I will not, like, for me, I'm good. I will show up in that. But some people, like you said, they will always show up like this
Yeah,
because they feel like it's an expectation and they don't feel confident enough to be their comfortable selves.
absolutely. I 100% agree with that. So there's discussion about like how the internet has changed. So one example that I got from somebody on my team was like in the past, like hate comments were taken so seriously, and they're personal. But now it's actually kind of embarrassing because the people who actually like made those comments, are now the ones that are like being called out, and they'll delete it. So that's an interesting kind of change. What do you think?
Well, I think it's more of a what it depends on what they wrote in the first place. If
Mm-hmm.
they put the hate comments on there like trying to embarrass someone else, and this is generally what I see in this respect, they try to embarrass someone else, but turns out that people are calling them out for trying to be basically so perfect. Like who the heck are you to
Yeah.
say that about someone else?
But
Talking about how rude they are. There is a what is his name? Oh, I might have it wrong. There's an influencer. He's in the workout space. Like I could have this name wrong, but it's like Johnny Swole or something. He goes into gyms and he uh, basically will call you out for bad behavior
okay.
in the gym. And in some cases, get you kicked out of the gym
Mm-hmm.
because he'll send the video like to the management of that establishment. And a lot of times they'll be like basically canceled because what they'll
Mm-hmm.
do is they'll videotape somebody doing a workout. And as weird as it might be, they're doing it for whatever purposes they're doing it for, their own. But the person will talk about them, trying to embarrass that person. And then it comes, when he catches it, it comes back to them as far
Yeah.
as bad behavior. And then they have consequences. That's the one that
Mm-hmm.
comes to my mind. But
I can see that.
I think that it's very serious and people are trying to really think about it now before they post that
Mm-hmm.
to make
Yeah.
their because I'm not seeing as many of them as I used to because I think people are realizing that this might backfire.
Right. I'll say like when I posted my video, the first one about my plastic surgery, I had hundreds of comments. And there was probably about a quarter to maybe a third of them that were not really nice. And what was great though was that the community kind of came to my rescue. Like if somebody really posted something horrible that wouldn't even necessarily do with my video, somebody would be like, "That's like you're wrong." Like I mean, like they'd come to your defense for you. And I don't know that we were that involved. When the internet started out, like everyone was just like, "Gee, what do I even say? What do I post?"
Well, it is a thing where I think people, it used to be just kind of the bad behavior coming out, but now actually I think people are beginning to speak up,
Hmm.
not letting the bad behavior stand more as they were letting it stand before. And some of it still does. But now I'm noticing that they are basically, like you said, coming and jumping in, giving their 2 cents as not letting it all be bad,
Right. I agree with that.
making you justify your comments.
Yeah. So we've been around before, the internet was around. Like
Maybe.
somebody on my team said, I'd love to know, their thoughts about, before and after because she's only ever had the internet most of her life. And so like that shaped her views of feminism. So compare life as a woman before, and during the internet.
What does someone say? We're older than Google? Which
uh,
sounds really old, but we are.
yeah.
But before the internet, yes, you did not have all these other women which you would never meet, you would
Hmm.
never see, you would never run into. You did not have them to compare yourself with. So all you had were the people in your classroom, or the people in your block, people at the grocery store, in your community, or if you traveled, those people to
Hmm.
compare yourself with. So it
Yeah.
was a much smaller and and if you didn't take a picture of them, you really didn't necessarily really 100% remember what they
Right.
look like, you know.
Right.
But now you can just snap that picture and just post it into your photographs and like look at it all the time.
Yeah.
And which is not good. It's just not good. So it was more of a freedom. I feel like it was more of a freedom. And even if you compared yourself to Susie down the street, you kind of didn't, because
Yeah.
likelihood is you didn't have her plastered on your wall,
Yeah. you know, I was one of the late comers with the internet. I don't think I got it till like around my senior year. So what did I do? Like I read magazines. Like I don't know if anybody remembers YM magazine. Like that was like the Young and Modern. Like that was like the cool magazine that you read when you were 13 if you were real grown up. And so like that was what I compared myself to, because I didn't even feel like these were real people, because they're not people I would see every day. It would be like that's the standard, but I didn't feel like it was anything I necessarily had to be held to. And it's
Right.
ironic that I say that, because I look at these reality TV stars all day on social media and I'm like, man, I wish I kind of looked like that.
Well, the difference too is in a magazine. Remember when we used to like cut the pictures out of the magazine and paste them on your
Yep.
wall?
Oh, yeah.
But you knew they were celebrities. Like they were
Yeah.
celebrities and famous people. Like you knew that wasn't Susie down the street.
Right.
So you understood. But now they're taking with the persona that we're giving off on the internet of thinking that Susie down the street really looks like that. We're taking that freeze frame snapshot of Susie and putting that in our
Yeah.
pictures and trying to beat that, because Susie down the street seems to look like that. But guess what? When you see her in person, she really doesn't look like that.
Or even the fact that like reality TV stars weren't stars 30 years ago. Like they were just regular people, and how now they've become idolized and they are celebrities.
That's true. We didn't used to view people for really no reason at all.
That's essentially what it is, right?
I mean, it used to be like the reality show. I mean, okay. Say yes to the dress, for instance.
Yeah.
All right. Say yes to the dress. Yes, it was an event. If you went bridal shopping for your dress with your mom, with your sister, and well,
Right.
no one else really cared about
Yeah.
it.
Right. Right. You're 100% right. So there is this huge involvement all around, from like the way that we're entertained to like the social media aspect of that. Like it's just way different. But for a lot of people, they don't know anything different now. Even now, even though I've spent half of my life without the internet and half of my life with it, I don't know what my life was even like back then. Like this is life now. You know.
That's true. So I don't think that, I mean, as a comparison, back then and to now, I think it was a more intimate experience. The life was actually a more intimate experience than now. It's spread out not only in your community, but it is
Yeah.
spread out throughout actually the world.
Right.
Your life you can reach someone being in the United States, you can easily reach someone in India.
Yep.
Like with just, what is it? WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
Just,
Yep. It's pretty crazy. Yes. So we don't in our podcast we don't get into like people that are experts or anything like that here. But I will say that one podcast came to my attention. It was a podcast by Brene Brown, and she interviewed Dr. William Brady, and the whole topic was about social media outrage and polarization, which is obviously kind of a great topic right now as we're entering another presidential election season.
yeah.
And what he broke down was kind of complicated, but the way he broke it down was simple. And the simplified version of this is this: like when we post something online and you get likes or comments,
Yeah.
that's quantifiable for us, and it's actually something that gives us a social reward. It's
Yeah.
like it's like Pavlov's theory, the dog and the bell is the way I kind of say it. You know, you get this
Mm-hmm.
reward because of the audience reaction, and that can actually what that's what can cause like moral outrage because it can get amplified really easily. And the social media algorithms, they amplify the stuff that's getting that traction.
Yeah.
So the thing that really got to me was that he said that the things that we do, we're very sensitive to whether we're getting these likes or not, and if you're someone who has low self-esteem, for
Mm-hmm.
example, your
Mm-hmm.
ego is like fragile. So, there's research that if you're sensitive, you're more sensitive to this social reward that
Mm-hmm.
comes with the platforms. And, the more insecure you are, the more susceptible to that social reward. So that's a generally pretty negative thing. Is that we're expecting that reward for
Well, it's
whatever we're
true.
posting.
It's true. Absolutely true. Um, Working with people with low self-confidence, that is a sign. That is truth in the respect where some people need it's almost feeding their attention. They need attention. Some
Right.
people, and so that's why you see the don't talk about me, but this is why you see these people
Mm-hmm. The
like
selfies,
every
yeah.
5 minutes. I swear
Yeah.
they are,
They need that social love.
and they are waiting. They are waiting for you to say, "Oh, that looks good." Oh, blah blah. And if they don't get it, they feel really bad, and they try. And I'm noticing this: if they don't get it, they start taking their clothes off
Mm,
because they're looking for any
that
kind
validation.
of self esteem, any kind of boost from anywhere they
Yeah.
can get it.
Right.
And so if they're not getting it from, you know,
The
what they say,
selfies and love.
sex
It's so
sells.
true.
And so they're getting it from that, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'll keep doing this because this is giving me gratification, giving me
Yes.
grat." And that's, and a lot of times we can get into it, but a lot of times that goes all the way back, literally from how you were raised and
Right.
what you were raised, the positivity or not that you
Right.
were raised with.
Absolutely. Well, before we end the podcast, one more quick question for us, I think, is if we can think of a positive or uplifting experience that we've encountered on social media as it relates to women. So for me, one of the things I'll say overall is that like when somebody posts about something that's heartfelt, the community does come to your rescue, and that could be man, woman, it doesn't matter. There's a death in the family, there's something you're struggling with. I find that, and I think that's one of the best uses of social media. But one thing that sticks out in my mind is I have a friend who's amazing. Like she's amazing. She's got a PhD. She was the top of her company. She now owns her own business, but she's just liked how she looks, and she posted on social media, because she was at the beach and she was like, I really don't even want to show my tummy. And everybody was like, "Oh my god, girl, you are so beautiful! Like, why would you even say that?" And this is somebody who is like a generally thin person, but these are the things that we feel in our head, we don't like about ourselves.
Yep.
And it was great to literally see, over 100 comments of people saying, don't think that way. Like you look great, and we love you.
That is a really good thing, but that happens to us all the time. We are our own worst critics. No
Mm-hmm.
lie, no lie. How many times has someone come to me and I'm doing a facial and they're like, right here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking. I can get the magnifying glass. I'm like, I don't see it. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
like, but they see it every single time that they look in the mirror because we are our own worst critics and we are the hardest on ourselves. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's what stop the magnifying glasses. Like people don't walk up to you on a regular basis with a
Yeah.
magnifying glass. Stop, doing this to yourself in the
Right.
mirror. It's just not necessary. It's but we are because of that goes back to that validation.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as having good positive things that happen on social media, my good positive social media thing I think that I've ever had has to be family.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I can share um, things about my autistic daughter. And even though she doesn't really realize what it is, like they seem to really, back her up. Go Taylor,
Yes.
good thing. And she smiles about it. And even though she doesn't really know a whole lot about it, but she just likes it because grandma said it, or Uncle Mike said it, or that kind of thing. So she really likes that. So family, I think, is the best thing. Honestly, though, I can give it or take it, leave it, whatever.
Yeah. You don't
It's
need the
not a big deal for
validation.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I totally do. Well, this has been really great, and I'd love to hear from the audience. Leave us a comment, about a positive or uplifting experience you've had on social media. That would be a really great way to kind of keep this community going. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the Light Her Project podcast. I hope you like our new look. You can follow the conversation online with our hashtag, and in the meantime, keep it real. Real women
with real talk.